Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is another episode of the evolution of the Epstein Chronicles. All right, so we're all aware that Ghislaine Maxwell and the other four ladies are under investigation, and other facilitators, perhaps. That's been made clear. We know that that's a fact. I've talked to my source. My source has confirmed it. My source has also told me that the investigation is in the preliminary stages, but it's being conducted in a very aggressive manner. Now, whatever that means, I'm not too sure, but hopefully what it means is that they're really going hard after these people. And maybe they had some evidence previously to this, and they were building their case. I don't know. I just don't know. All I can tell you for sure is she is being investigated. That's definitely happening. Ghislaine Maxwell is under FBI investigation, according to not only my sources, but the sources that Reuters was talking to as well. And keeping with that theme, we're going to talk about some of the other enablers, right? We've been doing that. It's one of the staples on this show, talking about the people who enabled Jeffrey Epstein and the people who helped him facilitate his crimes. So we're going to talk a little bit about Adriana Ross today. And Adriana Ross is one of the girls from his inner circle, one of the 4 girls from his inner circle. And she has a lot of reasons to be worried at this point. Now, we're going to read 2 articles. All right, the first one is from the Daily Mail, and the second one is from the Mirror. And the one from the Daily Mail is from August of this year. So it's going to talk a little bit about, who Adriana Ross is, what she's up to, what she did for Jeffrey Epstein, what her role in Epstein's operation was, et cetera, et cetera. We've talked about her a little bit on the show. We haven't really gotten into details about her. We've talked about Leslie Groff in an in-depth piece, and we've also talked about Sarah Kellen in an in-depth piece, but we have not gotten to Adriana Ross yet. So I figure today is the perfect day, huh, folks? Let's learn a little bit more about one of Jeffrey Epstein's top enablers. Shall we? Article, Daily Mail. Date of publication, August 16th, 2019. Author, Ben Ashford. Headline, exclusive. Time to confess? Epstein's scheduler and former model Adriana Ross dodges questions about his sick past as she flees Florida church in tears. Aw, so we should feel bad for her? We should feel bad for her? Aw, nope, sorry, I do not feel bad for you. A former model named as a possible accomplice of Jeffrey Epstein broke down in tears as DailyMail.com challenged her to come clean about his vile sex crimes. And allegedly, well, why would she be protected under that plea agreement if she wasn't involved? Why did she evoke her Fifth Amendment rights instead of actually telling people what happened in the case? Sorry, this lady is as guilty as the rest of them. Adriana Ross was one of 4 women named as a potential co-conspirator, but granted immunity from prosecution in Epstein's controversial 2008 Florida sweetheart deal. So why would she be granted immunity, folks? Did she help the prosecution? No. Did she rat on anybody? No. So why would she be protected under that plea deal? Why? Oh, I know why. Oh, that's why. Because if she wasn't protected, she would certainly have ratted on Jeffrey Epstein. And his handlers could not have had that. The Polish beauty, the Polish sicko, I guess we should call her, covered her face and started to sob when DailyMail.com approached her for comment outside a Catholic church close to her home in Miami, Florida. She refused to answer a string of questions about her ties to the pedophile financier before a male companion shielded her from the camera and ushered her into an SUV. A male companion, huh? You take a look at the picture of these two and, this is just, it's unbelievable. So you're telling me her male companion doesn't know about her past? Or does the male companion just not care? You don't know anything, growled the man, believed to be her husband. It's not for you to make a judgment. You don't know anything about it. No, we know a lot about it, sir. And furthermore, why doesn't she come out and clear it all up for us then? Why doesn't she go on record? Why is she hiding? Why did she plead the fifth? Why didn't she tell the investigators who did what? We all know Jeffrey Epstein did this. We all know that. Everybody knows it. So why didn't she help? Listen, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem, as John McClane would say. So, folks, anyone who thinks that this lady should be felt sorry for, I'm sorry, she shouldn't be. Ross and several former Epstein associates have come under renewed scrutiny. Oh boy, is that about to increase about tenfold since his apparent suicide, allegedly, Saturday, as feds eye prosecutions against the schedulers who assisted his abuse. The 66-year-old pervert preyed on dozens of girls, some as young as 14, at mansions in New York and Palm Beach, Florida, according to a federal indictment filed in the Southern District of New York. And now remember, folks, this is filed in New York. Okay, so they're not protected under that plea agreement in New York in this case. Prosecutors say he relied on the complicity and organizational know-hows of employees and associates to maintain the vast sex trafficking network and target further underage victims. The newly unsealed filing says the girls were taken to rooms to perform massages, which quickly escalated into vile sex acts as he masturbated or groped them. And now remember, folks, everybody wants you to think it's only men that are vile and sick and depraved, and for the most part, it's correct. Most of the people that are predators are men. But to think that there are no women out there who get off on this sort of thing, you're wrong. Just take a look at what was happening. And now, do not get me wrong, I have a certain amount of empathy for these girls, right? All of them. Not obviously the victims, but I'm talking about Jeffrey Epstein's inner circle. These girls were, he's almost like a cult leader, and I've made the comparison before to Keith Raniere, and it's very, very similar to the way Keith Raniere brought these girls in. And now, while I have empathy for them, that does not mean that I have any feelings about that they should be given light sentences. They're all just as guilty as him. So while I can have empathy for somebody, that does not mean that I do not want them punished, or I do not want them thrown underneath the jail, because that's where all of these people belong, including Adriana Ross. Epstein and his associates would then pay the girls hundreds of dollars in cash and perpetuate the cycle of abuse by turning victims into new recruiters. Similar accusations were leveled at Epstein in 2008 when he agreed to a non-prosecution agreement with former Miami federal prosecutor and Trump administration Secretary of Labor Alexandria Acosta, who resigned last month over the deal. Epstein pleaded guilty to 2 prostitution charges in state court in Miami and served a mere 13 months in Palm Beach County Jail, much of the time allowed out on work release. The controversial pact, which has never run past Epstein's victims, also extended immunity to at least 4 potential co-conspirators, including Ross, Sarah Kellen, Leslie Groff, and Nadia Marcinkova. Again, why would these 4 disgusting, depraved animals, okay, because that's what they are as well. I don't care if they're men, women, whatever they are, they're predators, and they helped a predator. Why did they have to have immunity as potential co-conspirators if they weren't involved? They were involved, folks. Don't let anybody tell you any different. Daily Mail TV exclusively revealed last month the extraordinary steps that Kellen, 40, took to reinvent herself and conceal her sordid past. She went from a blonde to a brunette and reemerged as Sarah Kensington, moved to Hawaii, and in 2012 started dating NASCAR driver Brian Vickers. Must be nice. You can reinvent yourself, huh, Ms. Vickers? You can reinvent yourself. You can just start a brand new life, get a new hair color, find yourself a nice, rich NASCAR husband. Meanwhile, these girls are toiling through life, suicidal, on drugs, on the verge of emptiness. How dare you? And how dare the justice system for letting her off for this long? It's nice to know that they're not sleeping well tonight, folks. It is nice to know they're getting a dose of what the victims have felt. Karma is quite the son of a bitch, isn't it? Is it not? After marrying Vickers in September 2013, she started an upscale interior design company and now divides her time between homes in New York, Miami, and North Carolina. And as we revealed on this show, her office was in the building at 66th Street in New York that Jeffrey Epstein and his brother Mark owned, and she was still living there after Epstein's death and after his second prosecution. So, and that's Kellen Vickers, I mean. She had moved to Florida in 2002 and was hired to work Epstein's sprawling Florida residence flight rec... Wow. Ross, by contrast, appears to have assumed a relatively modest life since leaving Epstein's gilded circles of celebrities, runway models, and royalty. Sorry, I got a little backed up there, folks. She had moved to Florida in 2002 and was hired to work at Epstein's sprawling Florida residence, flight records indicating she once flew on his private jet alongside Bill Clinton. Interesting. Today, she's employed as an accountant, works long hours, and rarely parties, according to friends. In 2017, she and 35-year-old husband Ariel Salazar spent $350,000 on a modest two-bedroom family home in Miami's Spring Garden neighborhood, which they plan on renovating. She is a sweetheart. Her husband is a sweetheart. They are nice people, the nicest, a neighbor told Daily Mail TV. That just goes to show you have no idea who your neighbors are. You do not know who anyone truly is. She works as an accountant. Okay, well that solidifies it, right? That validates the fact that she's a good person. I mean, that's it. They both work really hard. Okay, so she can't be a molester. She works really hard, folks. All right, are you catching this? You guys getting all of that? I have never ever heard her talk about any associations with Epstein, but then again, that's not a badge you would want to wear. Yeah, no kidding. So you think because she doesn't talk about the fact that she used to help this dude molest girls and rape girls, that it's a sign that she's innocent? No. This is a lady who is shrewd. She knows the law. She's been schooled on the law, and she knows to keep her fat yap shut. Ross was one of several alleged accomplices questioned in a 2010 civil suit about whether Britain's Prince Andrew participated in Epstein's alleged sex ring. She repeatedly invoked her Fifth Amendment rights, a silence she has maintained to this day. Attorney General Bill Barr made it clear in the wake of the billionaire, pedophile, grim prison cell death that the federal investigators are still gunning for his cronies. Let me assure you that this case will continue on against anyone who was complicit with Epstein. Any co-conspirators should not rest easy. Well, I do not think they're resting easy right now, folks. What do you think? You think any of these four are resting easy? How about Ghislaine Maxwell? Where has she been, folks? Where is Ghislaine Maxwell at now? Is she in FBI custody already? Are they protecting her from the intelligence agencies? Who knows? Who the hell knows where Ghislaine Maxwell is at this point? But what we do know is that she is under investigation, and so are her four little buddies, the four horsewomen of the apocalypse. And it feels good to know that. All right, our next article on the same topic, the same girl, Adriana Ross, is from The Mirror. And this one is from November of 2019. So pretty recent. Headline: Former model accused of helping Jeffrey Epstein get underage girls leaves the U.S. So she leaves the United States. Oh, that's nice. Let's see where this goes. I have not read this article yet. I wasn't aware that she had left the United States. Is she going on vacation? Did she leave for good? Who knows? We will see when we dive in right now. A former model accused of organizing underage girls for Jeffrey Epstein to abuse has left the United States as the FBI is poised to make arrests. So remember, this was in November. So there were hints that stuff was going on. Now, like I said, has the FBI been in contact with Ghislaine Maxwell's lawyers? Have they been talking to Adriana Ross's people? Who knows? I don't have any evidence or anything that points to that. But I would think that it might be something to think about, right? That the FBI has been looking at this for a minute. They finally have their ducks in a row. They have the information they need to kick off their investigation, and away we go. So who knows what's going on right now with these folks? Adriana Ross, 36, who was once questioned about Prince Andrew under oath, was tracked down by The Mirror as she left her home in Miami, Florida. As she packed a case into a car, she refused to answer questions about Andrew or her alleged role with Epstein. And when she later arrived at the city's cruise terminal with her husband, she insisted, "I have nothing to say." All right, so she's going out on a cruise. The headline makes it sound like she was booking it on a plane and heading to some undisclosed location like she's on the lam. But again, the sensationalized headlines lead us to unsensational articles usually. But again, this article is just more context, just more information on Adriana Ross and what she was up to and who she really is. U.S. Attorney General Bill Barr has vowed to bring to justice those who helped pedophile billionaire Epstein, who killed himself in prison aged 66 in August while awaiting trial on child sex trafficking charges. Allegedly. On Friday night, sources told The Mirror that papers were being prepared ahead of several arrests. Ross was one of four females, potential co-conspirators, granted immunity as part of Epstein's plea deal when he was jailed for procuring teenagers for prostitution in 2008. She was accused of clearing 3 computers from Epstein's home in Palm Beach, Florida in 2005 before police raided it. But when asked about this, she exercised her right to remain silent. Again, folks, listen to me. This chick is so deep into this, okay? She's getting rid of computers for Jeffrey Epstein. How is this not a RICO case? Now, the Daily Mail article we just read, they didn't say anything about her removing computers. So you see what I mean about context now? It's very important that we read as many of these articles as we possibly can and discuss as many of them as we possibly can, because sometimes they slide little tidbits in them that the other one doesn't. You know, one will have information that the other one doesn't have. And I know that's rare these days because most of these outlets just piggyback each other, but we have to do our due diligence because this is just, there's so much going on. There's so much information for us to absorb and for us to process that if we don't have all of the information, forget it. We're in big trouble in this case. During a civil prosecution in March 2010, she refused to answer questions about Prince Andrew, whose friendship with Epstein has led to public shame. Not just his friendship with Andrew, but how about his, abuse of Virginia Roberts? That might have something to do with the shame as well. She was asked, has Prince Andrew ever been involved with underage minor females to your knowledge? Have you ever met him? Have you flown on Epstein's plane with Andrew? Flight logs show Andrew, 59, was with Epstein at least 3 times on the financier's private jet, the Rape Jet. That's what I'm calling it from now on, the Rape Express, because the Lolita Express gives it too much credence, gives it, it romanticizes it almost. And the same with Orgy Island. I had somebody comment about that in emails, and they're absolutely correct. Orgy Island gives it like this romantic air, whereas it should just be called Rape Island, because that's what was going on. Lawyers for Epstein's victims also tackled Ross on notes found in the billionaire's bin, purportedly showing Ross allegedly arranging when and how victims would visit him. One read, Adriana hasn't confirmed Julie for 11 yet. She is keeping Brittany on hold in case Julie doesn't call back. Ross was asked, Julie's an underage minor female that Jeffrey Epstein was going to molest at 11? And if Julie wasn't available, you had another underage minor female named Brittany that could step in and fulfill the role for Epstein? She exercised her right to silence on both questions. Polish-born Ross moved to the United States in 2002 and was once on the books for the prestigious elite model agency. She wed her first husband in Miami and worked for Epstein for a number of years until his first arrest in 2007. Since leaving his employment, Ross has qualified as an accountant and lives with second husband Ariel Salazar in a rundown 217,000-pound home. Ross and fellow alleged potential co-conspirators Sarah Kellen, Leslie Groff, and Nadia Marcinkova could still be subject to criminal charges in New York. Remember that, folks. It's very important. Could still be subject to criminal charges in New York. And not could just be, could be subject. That is exactly what we're seeing right now. We're seeing the case, the investigation kick into full gear, and then we'll see it get kicked to the district attorney's office. And once once it gets kicked there, it'll be ready for a grand jury or whatever comes next. But what we see now is we have movement. The movement has begun. And, I said 2020 was going to become the year the predators' turn to prey. Well, I guess it's starting right now a little bit early. The predators have certainly now become the prey, folks. If you would like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI at protonmail.com. And if you would like to help support the show, you can click on the GoFundMe link inside of the description box. I'll be back later on tonight with the Daily Drop, and also we're going to keep on covering this story. So tonight in the Daily Drop, we'll have a recap of what went on during the day with Ghislaine Maxwell, and we'll read some new articles that deal with the investigation that is now going forward.